I talked to a lady last night who was in there, and she's like, I cried when I came in. Seriously. And she said, I have so many memories of sitting in the old booths, and I came in and they're just gone. And she's
Wow.
like, and this wasn't like incremental change. This was like a whole new. She said, every day I get home from work and I log in, and I'm so looking forward to this. And her and I had a good conversation. I said, you know what? The things you're remembering are the people. It's not that
Yeah.
booth. It might have happened in that booth. It's the people, and the people are still here. And it was good. But man,
That's such a pause. Dude, that is such a golden nugget right there. Like
mm,
if anybody, any leader, dude, who has to lead people through change, dude, how you just did that, like, yo, it's not the place, it's the people.
mm.
That's what was really happening. That's a golden nugget.
Welcome to Well MetaVersed, the podcast where Jason Earls and Aaron Sorrells navigate the explosive growth in the metaverse. Buckle up because we are in for a heck of a ride.
It's so good to see your smiling face, my friend. You
Oh, thanks, my
really
brother.
truly brighten my day every time I get the opportunity to see you.
Thanks,
So,
bro. That's Hey man, let your light shine before men. You know what I'm saying?
for
That's what you're
sure,
supposed to do.
for sure. I've heard your name a lot this week in the metaverse.
Really?
Yeah, there's people that are listening to this podcast, and I've had a lot of people coming up to me and be like, "Who is this Jason Earls? Like how'd you get connected with him? Like so."
Yeah.
I mean, people love you, man. Like they're like your energy. People are really connecting with, and again, like it's just the beginning.
That's so encouraging, man. What's cool is dude, so yeah, that's encouraging. I don't know if I jump in and give you my little insight, but I snuck into Soapstone again last night.
Cool, cool.
So cool, man. Unassuming. And man, dude, it was a beautiful sight last night.
Mm,
Let me tell you why. One, before I went to Soapstone, every time I go into the metaverse, I'm still getting used to going in and going to where I want to go. I'm just always blown away by what's at our hands with
oh,
this. It's just so I explore. So I've made this habit of going to explore the different places before I go to Soapstone.
uh-huh. Cool.
Dude, let me tell you. So I went to one. I forgot the name of the room, but I went there and it was interesting. Uh, I didn't realize that I said, why can't I hear anybody?
Oh,
But my volume was down.
oh.
People coming up to me, I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like talking right now. It's just like I can't hear you.
Yeah.
So they should have a sign language option in the
You
metaverse.
know,
That would be cool.
it would be nice actually. There's a lot of times where that would come in handy.
Yeah. So but then I left there and I saw an advertisement in that room for the Cellar Comedy Lounge. I was like, wait a minute, they got a New York comedy
Yeah.
club in the metaverse. Let me go in there to see what that's about. I went there. Crickets. Nobody was in there.
Yeah.
So then I went and I was looking at other places, and I was like, all right, let me stop messing around. Let me get to the Soapstone world. And of course, I went to Soapstone, and I was at a distance, and of course, I'm just watching. I'm, it's like I'm a secret shopper.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to see what I see from a distance as soon as I go into the world, and how does it make me feel, dude?
Mm,
Soapstone is a special place, and I'm not just saying this because you on here, man.
yeah.
But just as I've observed the different places in the metaverse, what I saw, this is amazing. Dude, I saw from a distance. I saw somebody sweeping. I saw somebody, giving passing out drinks.
Yeah.
And I was like, this place is busy with people who care about
Oh, you just nailed it right there. It's
it.
busy
Dude.
with people who care about it. Oh.
Oh my goodness, bro. And I was like, the dream has come true.
It's happening, brother. I mean, man, it's okay. So you probably noticed a few changes when you rolled in, right?
Man, not just a few. There's a lot of changes. It looks great, man.
Oh, thank you. So let me. But by the way, thank you for that feedback, and thank you for jumping in and kind of hanging back and kind of being in the shadows a little bit and just observing for a minute. You know, you're going to be front and center, you know, and that. But it's kind of cool that you've got this opportunity to be a little bit anonymous in there, and I just love hearing that feedback. I mean, that's oh man, do I mean, that's what we want. We want people busy caring about the room and caring about the people
Bro.
in the room. And oh, that's awesome. So the renovations, let me tell you the story behind that. Because
Yes. Yeah, I'm
last week,
so intrigued.
so last week, you know, this was not even on the radar. A week ago when we talked, a full reno wasn't on the radar. The only thing that was kind of on the radar is I wanted to do some kind of a refresh. Like, um, you know, you had mentioned, you know, the look of it right now, it's not quite, you know, it doesn't quite pop. It doesn't quite grab you. It doesn't have
Right.
the stickiness of like the unemployed alcoholic or like the Jason Earls logo, or
Right.
you know, it doesn't. It's a little bit it's a little bit dark and hard to connect with. So
Yeah.
you know, I had dropped that to Solaris 30. Man, this lady, I'm going to brag her up a lot in this episode. But her and I were talking a little bit about that. But then it just kind of, you know, she's super busy. She's a metaverse superstar, and her company, like like they're so busy now, and they got
Yeah.
just work flowing in, and it's awesome. So like every once in a while I see her. It might go a little ways when I don't see her. So this was kind of lingering. Hey, we got to do some kind of a refresh. Well, then I get a phone call or I get a text message from her. She says, "Hey, there's something I want to run by you. Can you meet me in this world?" So I go in, and it's what you see when you go in. It wasn't completed, but the broad strokes were in there, and I'm like, what? Like this was unprompted.
Yeah.
This was unprompted. And this is what's so special about the metaverse. And when I say the metaverse, I mean the people in the metaverse. This is what's so
Yeah.
special. Like she woke up one night and she's like, "Man, what I'm seeing in there is not what the soapstone like. It doesn't represent what's happening in there. Like
Right.
the aesthetics of it don't represent the what's really happening in there." And she just was like, "Boom, boom, 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 boom," and started building. And she invited me in. And
Wow.
man, and I'll tell you what, we surprised everybody. It was about 48 hours from the time she started working on it till the time we
Yeah.
republished. Like 48 hours calendar time, you know, like
Wow.
and we republished. And here's the thing, like people loved the old layout,
Yeah.
but people love the new layout. And like it's been like there's the thing about the metaverse, and really the thing about all business, is I feel like I can't hold on to this. Is It comes back to what you said last week. I can't hold on to something that I have too tightly. Like
Right.
and people loved the old layout, and it would have been easy for me to grab a hold of that like the monkey with the hand in the coconut and not let
Yeah.
go of it. But we let go of it, and it's risky, man. And I talk to people that I talked to a lady last night who was in there, and she's like, you know, I cried when I came in. Seriously. And she said, I have so many memories of sitting in the old booths, and I came in and they're just gone. And she's
Wow.
like, it's, and this wasn't like incremental change. This was like a whole new. She said every day I get home from work and I log in and I'm so looking forward to this. And her and I had a good conversation. I said, you know what? The things you're remembering are the people. It's not that
Yeah.
booth. It might have happened in that booth. It's the people, and the people are still here. And it was good. But man,
That's such a pause. Dude, that is such a golden nugget right there. Like
mm,
if anybody, any leader, dude, who has to lead people through change, dude, how you just did that, like, yo, it's not the place, it's the people.
mm,
That's what was really happening. That's a golden nugget. Especially if somebody's got to lead, like I said, organization or a church through leadership, man, where people are in it committed for duration.
mm,
And like, but so to say, yeah, it's the people. Just that refocusing.
mm.
That's so good, man.
I hadn't even. But thank you for hitting pause. Thank you for hitting pause and giving us a moment to talk about that, because I hadn't even really thought about the dynamics of that conversation. But yeah, to the way to address change is to refocus it on what people are really experiencing.
That is rich, brother. That is rich. It's the I'm trying to think of the right P word. I'm alliterating. It's the people, not the pew. Pew is the wrong word.
That's a little churchy, but that's,
Yeah, that's a
yeah,
little churchy, yeah, but it's the
not the,
people, not the project. Whatever the
yeah.
yeah, I don't know what it is. Whatever that P word is.
We could use
Yeah.
aesthetics, but then we'd have to use a dirty word to describe the people. But no.
Right.
Oh man,
That's funny.
yeah.
It's the people, not the property.
There you
That's
go.
what you
That's
said.
it. That's it. It's the people,
Boom.
not the property. Yep, yep. Oh man, that's probably the title of this episode. It's the people, not the
It's
property.
the people, not the property. Dude, that is rich, dude. Because so many times, man, we love symbols. We love, symbolism. We love like when, there's something about logos. There's something about that's why I got an issue with my football team changing their name to the Commanders.
Mm,
It's like the Commanders. Like what's but hey man, it's the people that you've fallen in love with, the Gary Clarks, the Art
mm,
Monks, the Doug Williams, that like those, the John Regans. It's the people that I really resonate with, not necessarily the property, the name, the logo
yeah,
itself.
yeah,
Dude, that's and just that refocusing. Like what is it that you love about this team?
yeah,
Yeah, even though the name was pretty, it's got its controversy, but
yeah.
I when it comes down to it, I love the team, the people on the team, not the property of the team.
Right, right.
So good, dude.
Man, I guess we can wrap it up. No, I'm just, oh man. Well, and I mean, because really, like, I mean, I was a little bit scared. Again, like this idea of taking something that's booming and going well and just rattling it.
Yeah,
It was scary. I mean, fortunately,
but
Solaris. Oh my goodness, this lady.
come on,
Oh,
Solaris.
Solaris, man. Inspire, create labs. Anybody who is thinking they got to build something in the metaverse, these are the folks. These are the folks. My goodness.
Inspire, create
Yeah,
lab.
Inspire, create labs. And their sign, like when she did the remodel, she had taken their sign and kind of put it off to the side. I said, I grabbed a hold of it, and it's front and center when you roll in there. Like it's one of the first things that you see, because I mean it's about the people, but crafting the area for the people to do their thing.
Yeah,
That's what they do. And but man, Solaris. Oh, her first. I can't remember if I told you this or not, but where I first got hooked in with her, the first world that I built, which was Clean Comedy Land. She came in and she's looking around, and everybody who had come in was like, wow, this is beautiful, this is great, oh, this is going to be awesome. She comes in and she goes, yeah, this looks like a kindergartner did it. And I'm like, okay, if you're going to be this bold about what you're seeing and this honest and transparent, I'm going to work with you, because
Absolutely.
that's what we need.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell you, man. So when I walked in, it immediately I had this, and I saw the club. It gave me this fresh feeling, like fresh, modern. Uh, yeah, it was good. But then I walked in, but I still was like, I was kind of like, lady, it's not the old Soapstone,
Yeah,
but it's better, and like it, like the look of it draws more people now. I think
yeah,
it's like it's why some people say they need a new building, why they need, it's or in particular, let's talk about it. I know one particular church that I'm connected with, and it's just it's old.
yeah,
Like, man, y'all not gonna get a lot of young people,
yeah,
or it's yeah, it's why stadiums rebuild a new stadium when they don't necessarily need one. It's like some of the aesthetics just don't appease where technology and what people are used to,
yeah,
what technology is going, and what people are used to.
yeah. Well, and you kind of you hit on something there that's really important. That was part of that fear that I was uh, experiencing. Like, the time to rebuild, the time to remodel is not when it's stagnant and dead. The time to rebuild, the time to remodel is when it's booming and it's at its peak. You know,
Yeah.
if you rebuild and everybody goes, "Thank God it was so terrible before," like, you waited too long.
That's so good, bro. That is so good.
But yeah, like, I mean, if it's booming and you redo it, like I heard, I can't remember who it was, but it's some business guru that talked about the concept of putting yourself out of business. Like, basically,
Mm.
every company should reinvent a new version of themselves with the goal of putting themselves out of business. Not their new self, but the old self.
Right.
Like the concept was, actually, at the time, I was working in the printing industry, and the concept was a print shop should open a new print shop right across the street about every 5 years, with the goal of putting the old one out of business. And
Yeah.
really, that's kind of what we did, except in the metaverse, everything can happen at lightning speed.
Wow.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah, because I was wondering, dude, there are quite a bit of comedy clubs that are popping up in there, man.
At last count, I think there's 40 now that have comedy in the name. So
Yeah.
there's other ones too that didn't, that are quote unquote comedy clubs but don't have comedy in the name. So that, I mean, in likelihood, there's more than 50 50 comedy clubs
Wow.
in there. It's wild. It's probably next to, like, just general clubs. It's probably the most populated space in the metaverse now, and
Yeah.
it's probably because of how successful we've been. People are
Right.
like, hey, I want to do that.
Here's what works.
Yeah,
Dude, so let's go back to what's her name? Sorry, what's her name? I don't want to say her name wrong.
Solaris. Yeah.
Solaris. So Solaris walks in and said, "Look- it looked like a kindergarten built it. That's great, dude. It made me think of this verse. It's a proverb that says, "Open rebuke is better than love carefully concealed. Faithful are the wounds of a friend."
Amen.
And that's one proverb, one nugget of wisdom that I share with every team member, every person who I hire,
Yeah.
or every person who volunteers if I'm working with an organization that's on my team. That's the first thing I tell them, like, okay, let's get this. Here's what we need to know. This is a huge value of mine. Open rebuke is better than love that's concealed.
Hmm.
So in other words, if you don't like something, if you see something you don't like, rebuke me openly. Like, come to me and say tell me what you don't like, in my face. No, that's better than you loving me without telling me.
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
Now, it should clarify there, at least from my experience, like to openly rebuke, you're still talking about one on one, like yeah,
absolutely
like
right. I was
don't,
gonna get to that part.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, okay,
right. Yeah, open doesn't mean like let me
yeah,
sit in front of everybody.
right,
Like,
right,
no, don't do
yeah,
that. But in the one on one, openly rebuke me in the open of
yeah,
us being one on one.
yeah,
Faithful of a wound of a friend. If a friend wounds you, it has a purpose.
mm,
Not. I'm not talking about
yeah,
backstabbing,
yeah, yeah,
but just to tell you something that potentially could hurt is very valuable
yeah,
because they're not necessarily telling you this just to hurt you,
yeah,
but it's more constructive criticism.
yeah. Well, and that, I mean, that's exactly, and that's rare. It's rare that somebody has the courage to say what they feel.
Yeah,
And that's again, like she's a wildly talented artist. Obviously, she's a wildly talented builder. But what originally attracted me to say, "Hey, you're somebody I want to work with," it was the boldness. It was the ability to say, "Hey, this is what I'm seeing."
right. It's so good. Come on, Solaris.
Yeah, yeah. Solaris, Solaris, Solaris. We got to say her name like 90 times during this.
How do you spell it? How does she spell it?
Solaris 30. That's her handle in the metaverse. Uh,
Is she on Instagram?
I I'm not sure what all she's on. Her Facebook name is different, but I don't want to share that just in case she
Okay.
wants to keep it to that. But yeah,
Remain anonymous.
and also through Inspire Create Labs, if anybody searches that out, they can find them for sure.
I just tried to find them on Facebook. Let me see.
They should
Inspire
be on.
Create Lab.
Oh, Inspire is spelled Nspire, so it's not IN. It's just
Okay.
Nspire. This
Got it.
this episode informally sponsored by Inspire Create Labs. Boy, they are. Oh, I can't say enough about how good they are. But I mean, it's more than them. They're the core building team, but to see this whole crew coming together, and like this week, something really cool is happening. I've got a meeting with multiple different people that have all come forward and said, "I want to host a regular weekly show."
Wow.
This
Wow.
the
That is huge.
man, this right here, like this is the next level. Like we got the hangout spot, we got the open mic going on, we got the headliner show, but to have people stepping up. I mean, it was just a couple of weeks ago when I talked about bringing that host in, Wyatt
Yeah.
Burp, and kind of turning it over. Like that triggered something. People saw that, and people are like, "I want to get involved." And I'm like,
Sheesh.
man, oh, this is going to be so dope. And, oh, the foundation that's being laid right now by these people, these hosts stepping up, it is going to be more powerful than I understand at this point, than they understand at this point. The reach that they're going to have in this, ooh, I got
Yeah.
goosebumps.
That's bananas, man. Yeah, that what's amazing is that keeps the show going. It keeps the room jumping at every single moment. And that's the times that I've popped in the metaverse when I'm during my day and I'm not doing anything. So let me pop in right quick. And I go to these other worlds. The other clubs are quiet. You can walk in and nothing's going on, but you walk into Soapstone, man, and it's community
Mhm.
happy, man.
Well, and
It's
there's a critical mass, like, and that critical mass to achieve that is a very high number. Like, I mean, in order to
wow.
achieve that, like we've got about 9,000 people a week coming through the Soapstone, and to tell you if that dropped in half, it would drop a lot more because you've got to have that critical mass. You've got to have the people that are there so the people come there. You know,
Dude, here's what's great about this, man. What Aaron is doing is giving us formula of successful events. In other words, at every comedy show, there are always going to be people who don't laugh. There will always be at every comedy show people who don't laugh. There will never be a comedy show where everybody laughs super hard. What you want to do, however, then is make sure that the people who laugh outnumber the people who don't laugh.
yeah,
So for every person who doesn't laugh, you at least want 12 to 20 people who do laugh. Cause then that silence would be muted or unmuted. Like it won't seem
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
they're not laughing. And then they will begin to look at themselves like, what's wrong with me? If 20 people are laughing, something must be wrong with me if I'm not
yeah,
laughing.
and vice versa. Like
Exactly.
people learn quick if it's
Yeah.
safe to laugh. Like and it's
Yeah.
all about that critical mass. You know,
Yeah.
if you drop under that critical mass, man, is it hard to get it back up there. But boy, when it gets above that critical mass, just get out of the way.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. And yeah, and it's a beautiful thing. So I performed this past Saturday in San Antonio, 2,000 people. And I could look in the crowd and see a couple of people who weren't laughing. But I'm like, I don't care. I got
Yeah.
I got 1,980 people laughing.
Yeah.
Y'all can do whatever y'all
Yeah.
want.
Yeah. And we don't know what was going on with them.
Right,
Like
exactly.
they, yeah, that's it comes right back to that serenity prayer. You know, God grant me the serenity to accept things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. How people respond in laughter, that's outside of our control. Now, there's things that are under your control, and you
Right.
knock them out of the park. I mean, you've got writing, you've got stage presence, you've got delivery. You know, you've got all these things that you've honed. But ultimately, the way they respond, we can't control it.
Yep. My grandmother would say it like this: you can't stop a bird from flying over your head, but you can stop it from building a nest in your head.
Yeah, yeah. Boy, that's, that's I might have that embroidered on a pillow. That's good.
Man, that's it, dude.
Yeah, man.
So I'm gonna tell you what else I saw when I was in the room last night. Dude, when I walked in, dude, there was this community of people. They weren't even on stage. They were off stage just talking and laughing.
Mhm.
Some encouraging people to get up there. Some just, all right, this joke isn't good enough for the stage, but let me just tell it right here with you all. And
That's
it was good, man. And I wanted to get on stage so bad just to surprise everybody. But I was like, nope, stay incognito. Stay
yeah, yeah.
incognito.
Yeah, well, I mean, as
Yeah.
soon as you want to, like, I mean, there's two things that we got to do. One, we got to get you on stage again, because
Yeah.
that's going to be a special time, and two, we got to record at least one episode, if not multiple of these episodes in the Soapstone in
Yeah.
VR. Um, so maybe we can talk offline a little bit on that, but those are two things that we got to make happen for sure.
That's, dude, my cheeks hurt. I'm smiling so hard about this stuff, man. It's hysterical.
Good stuff.
Yeah, it's exciting, man.
Good stuff. Yeah, man. This so with the change, I I now have a desk and an office area in the backstage area, which
Oh
is so
wow.
cool. Like, we definitely got to get you in there. I got to meet you in there so I can bring you into the backstage area, or
Yeah.
yeah. So the desk is set up there, and I made a little yellow pad. to
Uh-huh.
write down a to-do list, and I started thinking, okay, what are the most important things that I'm trying to do here? And I had to distill it down to three items. And I figured the most important thing that I'm doing right now is empowering leaders. You know, the thing that's
Mm.
happening in the Soapstone is I'm empowering leaders. So the first item on my to-do list was empower leaders. The second item was encourage people towards the spotlight. You know, and this is
Yes.
what brought this back to my memory is those people that are out in the audience and they're like, here's a funny joke, but it's not quite ready for the stage, to encourage them towards the spotlight, to have their moment on stage.
Right.
And then the final thing is to just share what I'm learning, you know, which is what we're doing here, you know,
Yeah.
just try to every little bit of wisdom that I recognize, every little bit of insight, to just push that out there and just give it to people. Uh,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Dude, is there a way in encouraging people to the spotlight, is there a way that you could hand out, like send digital cards? For instance, let's say if I'm on stage performing, you snap a picture of that and you say, "Hey, thanks for being courageous, getting on stage." Signed, the unemployed alcoholic,
Ooh,
and message that to a person.
yeah, because
Yeah, I
I
wonder.
can snap a picture, or a host can snap a picture, and then we can like because we'll have their name, and we can send
Right.
it through Oculus. Yeah. And the people
That's
that are
great,
on
man.
like the headliner shows, you know, they get the video, which
Right.
is cool. But the open mic, it'd be really cool to have hosts snap a picture and then somehow send those out.
Absolutely.
Cool. This this is some of the most exciting parts of this, like the dynamics of when two people come together with a common vision and without an agenda. The magic that
Yeah.
happens is special. Like,
Yeah. Absolutely. But how do you like? I wonder what do you say to people who have an agenda? How do you let that agenda go? Because I've too man. I always the reason why I love connecting with people without an agenda is because I recognize the magic that happens
mhm,
and how it really serves the person well. Everybody wins when you don't go into something with an agenda.
yeah, yeah. Well, boy, that right there. I mean, that's worth everything. You
Yeah.
know, if and it's not so much what we can tell other people to do, but for ourselves. You know, if we go into an encounter with somebody, especially somebody who's used to or especially somebody who has a lot of attention on them and a lot of
Mhm.
demands from them, like yourself, you know, you're in the spotlight a lot. You're in a position of authority. You're in a position of celebrity, and there's a lot of people that want to take something from you.
Yeah.
So if somebody is going to approach you, if they can just experience being with you and let that agenda go, like they're going to get so much out of it, more out of it. You're going to get so much more out of it.
Absolutely. And if I smell the agenda, I'm chunking the deuces. Like,
That's right. And and
like
everybody that's in a position of celebrity power, you know, fill in the blank, like we can sniff it out.
you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And what I've learned, I had a businessman tell me, I got this businessman to hit the road with me.
Mm,
Said he was like, you know what? I'm doing this. Like, yeah, he said, I love to go on the road with you. So I paid for his ticket. Here we go. And just had him to kind of shadow me and just watch what I do.
mhm,
And he said this. He said, we're riding in the car and he looked at me and he said, with this puzzled look on his face, almost like frustration, he said, how come you're not bigger than what you are?
mm, mm.
I said, I I don't know. I guess, it's all about timing and being in the right place at the right time. He was like, no, 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 no. I watched you last night. He said, I watch you when you're with people. He said, man, like, and I saw you on stage and it was amazing. Better than what I ever thought it would be. And then after being on the road with you, I see that the guy that I thought you were is actually magnified.
Mm.
And then he said, you said you've been on this stage, you've been on this stage, you've been with this organization, with this organization. How come you're not bigger than what you are? You know all these people. How come you don't ask them to help you? And I was like, because it's asking them to help. It's agenda. And I never want people to feel like I'm trying to use them for something.
Mm.
And he was like, you won't. And it's like, here's what you do. You start as people see your heart. You explain them where your heart is and how you don't want anything from them. But and you ask them these questions. And dude, I started doing that. Oh my goodness. This has just been pretty recently as well.
Uh,
But people are willing to, how do I say it? This world needs people who are positively impacting. Even if I want to positively impact the world and I see you doing some positive things, I'm and my job is to impact the world. I'm going to empower you as much as I can so that you can impact the world as at a maximum level.
yeah.
And so when people who are in positions of influence see the purity of your heart and the purity of your desire to help people, they in turn will help you help people.
Wow, you just said a lot right there, man. And
That that's what I'm learning.
yeah,
I didn't know that I could really connect with people or how to take the next step because I'm all about building that relationship equity up just because I like
yeah,
investing in people. But then realizing like, you know what? There's this synergy. We actually, if I ask you this one question, you could actually help me impact people
yeah,
even better.
yeah, yeah. And there, so let me start though by saying, Jason, your biggest days are ahead of you. Like
Mm.
you are a celebrity, you are a very funny and talented comedian, but the point at which you are going to be having the biggest impact, the point at which you're going to be reaching the most people, those days are still ahead. Like you
Mm.
are not at the peak of your curve. You are, in my opinion, from everything I see about you and knowing your heart and knowing your skills, you are still, even though you've been at it a minute, you are still at this beginning part of the curve. And and
Facts.
and you have potential energy behind you that is amazing. Like
Mm.
you when being in the right place at the right time happens fully for you, the momentum and the slingshot effect that you're going to have is going to blow you away.
Wow.
um,
Wow.
and also, it's okay. Like when we were talking about agenda, um, it's okay to have a strategy. It's okay to have goals. It's okay to do those things for sure. But I think when we were talking about, it's got to take a backseat to relationship. And
That's good.
and what you were just talking about, like the people that you have impacted, the people that you have relationship with, to ask them for help is a great thing to do.
Yeah.
That's and you could say that's agenda. Well, yeah, that's agenda, but it's different because there's relationship there. There's
Right.
knowing the heart. And frankly, when we ask for help, like my friend Pat McLaughlin that owns the Timothy Group, a big fundraising organization, like he talks about when we're talking to people about charitable giving, that it's not an ask, it's a gift to them because
Yeah.
people want to help. People have the need to help. Now, if you go into a mega dollar donor and you say, "Hey, I don't know you, but I want your money," that's gross.
Bro. Did I tell you that time I did this auction? Dude, so I've done fundraiser auctions before and they're quite fun. So I'll come in, do stand-up comedy, and then I will run this charity auction. So much fun. So, but I was doing them with, small, some private schools. I did some with some small churches. Yeah, small churches. One large private school I did. But then I got the big call. And this place probably had about 800 people in it. Big wigs. Ah, dude, I cannot tell you. Like one of their prizes was you could one of the top 10 Division 1 basketball programs. They gave you a day with the basketball team, go to the game, sit in the locker room. Dude, it was some
Yeah,
major players at this auction.
yeah.
And I was doing it with they were like, okay, Jason, you do the auction, but we also gonna have the executive director, founder of this nonprofit. He's gonna do the auction with you. And I was like, great. Now this is an international top-notch organization.
Uh,
Huge. So I'm on stage with him. And mentally, I was thinking private school, small church auction.
yeah.
Dude, I don't know if you ever been on stage with a lion. Oh my goodness. And I was like, okay, we're gonna raise money. Yes, let's go. Let's go raise some money. But this lion came on stage. He's invited the millionaires in here. And he's like, it's like playing basketball with Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant. And I'm sitting there and my shoes halfway untied. I was like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And when I recognized it, I was like, wait, I'm a lion too. I think.
Yeah, right.
At least I have been in the past.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, so I need to match his energy, or not necessarily energy, but we're a team here. I need to make sure I'm bringing it like him. So I started bringing it. And then I started bringing some comedy in. And I was like, they were bidding for this one huge deal. And dude, I messed around and said the wrong thing about raising money.
Mm.
And the lion said, it's not about that.
Ooh.
And the people who were bidding each other, they were like, that's right. And I was like, yeah, I wasn't ready. Because I made mention, because I was like, oh, you going to let him outbid you? That's what y'all doing. You want this prize. And he was like, it's not about that. And the other man said, that's right. This is about raising money for these kids. I was like,
Yeah.
Oh.
Well,
Ooh,
man, what
that still hurts.
what a phenomenal! Like I could hear the pain in your voice, reliving that moment. But man, how beautiful is that? How beautiful of a moment is that to fail when you're
Absolutely.
in the presence of somebody who is just so good at their craft, that
Absolutely.
is there just in the groove, and you're in there operating with them, keying off them and feeding back and forth, and then to fall. And and man, it stings, but man, what an awesome, beautiful thing.
Absolutely, dude. I never would have learned that lesson even now. And even like I know how I've been in some large rooms with some major players, but never to the degree I understood the big players. I understand the big players more than ever before.
Mhm.
Like I've been up close, major players in the same. Jason, we want you to meet with this person. Take 30 minutes out to meet with this donor. I've been in there, but to be on stage and
to be influencing, to be in a position where you're called upon to influence the influencers, like to
right,
yeah, that's wild, man. What?
lesson learned.
Yeah, yeah.
It's great.
Well, and the thing is, like, they're just regular people.
Absolutely.
Like they're just like they may have more resources than somebody else, but they have the same needs. You know, it
Absolutely.
doesn't matter how wealthy somebody is. They want to contribute. They want to be a part of something. They want to make a difference. They want to get affirmation. Like
Absolutely.
it's and that's not a bad thing. You know,
And the right affirmation.
yeah,
The right kind. Yeah, that's so true, man.
yeah. I
And they got to budget their money just like I got to budget mine.
Yeah,
You know.
man. There's a guy I know. His name's Claire DeGraff, and he wrote the 10-second rule, and he's here in Grand Rapids. And
Oh, sweet.
this dude, this dude, like this man pours into people. He jokes about, you know, he hasn't had a grown up job in 20 years, and basically all he does is meet up with people without an agenda, and just spend time together. I've spent time with him. Names that you and I know well have spent time with him, you know, and like this guy is just so genuine and good. But he his sphere of influence is with some very wealthy and powerful people.
Yeah.
And he said that he's had mega millionaires in his office that have broken down and cried about the relationship with their father.
Wow.
And he said, you know, all of us, and I'm talking specifically about men here, because I have never been a woman, but but I mean, all of us men have this innate desire to connect with our dad and to win affirmation from our dad,
Hmm.
and that doesn't change. However famous, however rich, however powerful, that right there is just a core thing that we all need.
Absolutely. Absolutely, bro. And if you have that daddy wound, that daddy hurt, you will not be as effective as you can be until you deal with it.
Mm.
It's
Say that one more time.
if you all of us have daddy wounds,
Hmm.
and you cannot be as effective as you can be until you've dealt with that daddy wound. Hands down. It's like all of us have those daddy wounds, and you have to deal with it. You can't keep ignoring it, trying to outperform it. You've got to deal with that thing heads on. And when you do that, it will blow your mind how effective you will become. Because not dealing with it, you're still trying to run and trying to fill some type of void
Mm.
that you don't realize.
And that
Yeah,
right
man.
there is the heart of the matter.
Absolutely, bro. All of us got them, and all of us give them.
Yeah.
That's the tough part. When you, oh,
uh,
yep, that was a daddy wound.
oh yeah,
Ah.
yeah. That's gonna leave a mark.
Yeah, I always say, oh, they're gonna need counseling for that one.
Yeah. Man, now see, this is what happens when two people get together without a scripted agenda, without the bullet points of this is how this has to go. We end up talking through, bouncing back and forth, hitting a bunch of great stuff, and then landing on something that we couldn't have decided that that's what we were going to talk about at the beginning.
Absolutely, and I feel the obligation to kind of tee people up to help them. How do they deal with a daddy wound?
Go.
So typically, your daddy wound happened between the ages of 7 and 10. If you go back and go back in your memory bank and see what were the greatest hurts that you acquired from something, an instance that your dad, or the lack of your lack of having your dad, what was that wound?
Mm.
And then just begin yourself to ask yourself why. Even have the conversation with your dad, but don't have the conversation with your father beforehand. You do a lot of the work by yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times those dad wounds happen, and your dad may not have known that he gave you that wound. My dad wound came from a joke. Actually,
Mm.
I saw that I was in fourth grade, and I could tell that my dad was tired. He hadn't been himself for the last few days. He was working two jobs, and I was like, man, I gotta help my dad cheer up somehow. So I worked up enough courage to tell my dad a joke on the way to school. I was like, here it is. I was like, hey dad, how much could a woodchuck wood if a woodchuck would? And I was like, I did it.
Mm.
I gave the joke to help cheer up my dad. And my dad said, I don't know, Jason.
Mm. Mm.
That little 8-year old, 9-year old Jason dude was crushed. Like, here it is. Now look at grown man Jason. What is grown man Jason gifts and probably is one of his top abilities, the ability to encourage and motivate people.
Mm-hmm.
That was there at 8 or 9 years old. And then when I was doing the very thing that God had ordained me to do well to to the man whom I love most, he slapped it.
Yeah.
And for a long, dude, I never forgot that. And for a long time, man, it was just it just crushed me. But what is it? Then I looked at, okay, what is it that I was looking for? Uh Really, ultimately, without even knowing, I was looking to be alive by doing fulfilling my purpose, and it got crushed. And so not knowing that causes me caused me to work towards people approval when I didn't have
Mm.
to. Starts to second guess every time I would try to encourage a person of influence. So, but when I was able to move past that baggage, dude, it like, let's go, encourage the world.
Man,
So,
yeah. Boy, thank you
yeah,
for sharing that. Thank you for sharing that.
yep,
Because that, that, I mean, that rings true to me. That'll ring true to a lot of people that hear you talk about that. And
yeah,
to find healing from that and be able to step into your purpose, your calling, your gifts, um, in spite of that, or maybe even because of that. you know,
yeah. You're right. Absolutely.
yeah, it's
Yep.
a special thing, man, and it takes courage
Right.
to share a vulnerable point like that.
Yep. And it also takes courage to realize, like, my dad didn't do that on purpose.
Mm, yeah,
He didn't wake up that morning and say, you know what? Let me see if I can ruin the next 25 years of my son.
right,
Let me see how I can do that.
right. Yeah, yeah. And
No, that
that's the
wasn't
thing
it.
when our kids come to us and say, "Hey, Dad, this is how you wounded me." You know, most likely we had no idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah, wow,
Absolutely. Yep.
man, oh man, that's good stuff. We started one
It
place
really
and then
is.
got deep.
Yes, sir.
All right. Well, I think I've had all I can handle for this week. we have run the gamut, and man, it's been so enjoyable. And I am encouraged. I am motivated. I'm excited to see what's going to happen, not just in the metaverse, but just in life in general. I'm so grateful to you, Jason, for being a part of this. I'm so grateful to the people listening to this. So grateful for the people that are plugged in to this incredible adventure that we're on. And we,
Absolutely. And I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for Sarlis. Did I say your name?
Solaris.
Solaris. I'm
Hey
grateful for
oh.
Solaris. Yo, I need to connect with you.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yeah. We'll
Yeah,
yeah, we'll get you in touch with her, and you can give some high fives and tell her how great she is, because
absolutely.
we all need to hear it. We all need to hear a little bit about how great we are.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right,
Cool
my
beans,
friend.
man.
Thank you so
So
much. Thank you all for listening. We will be back next week with another wonderful conversation. What are we going to talk about? Where are we going to go? We don't know, but it'll be good.
right. It depends on what happens in the metaverse from now to next week.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on this adventure. We will be back next week with a brand new episode, and you can always find us at jasonearls.com, theunemployedalcoholic.com, or at the Soapstone Comedy Club in Horizon Worlds.